Okay, here we are on the beautiful American River. We're working the gravels here along the edge of the river. We're working the top layers of the flood gold. Flood gold's worked its way down to a little clay layer. And we've been working on this little clay layer off the top of this flood zone. So today I'm going to give a little lesson about gold panning. So here we are. I've got to find a place deep enough where I can put my pan in to do my panning. So first off, there's going to be two modes. We take our pan and we always make sure, always let the water do the work. Never pour. So the water's always going to do the work. So on these gold pans, as you can see, this empty one here, it's got riffles in it. And the riffles are where you want your material to go off as your pan in the water. There's a hole on the opposite side that shows you where to put your thumb, if you're right-handed or if you're left-handed, how to hold the pan. Now these pans are pretty heavy with this much material, so sometimes I will put my finger on the front edge just to help hold the pan so it stays flatter in the water as when we do our panning. But the object is we're trying to get the heavies that's in this pan down to the bottom of the pan. And we like these wide bottom pans because it holds more material in the bottom and it's a greater catch pan for the heavies to drop to the bottom. Now I like the 1/2 inch riffles because here the gold is closer to a 1/2 inch, so it catches better on your riffles. So here we are now. I've got my material, I've taken it out of the river, I'm ready to pan. I find my hole for my right hand, I'm right-handed. I know my riffles are here on the left side, so but you got to keep in mind, you always got to let the water do the work, and you always keep your pan in the water. Don't bring your pan out of the water unless you're just going to take rocks out of it. So the water is always doing the work. And I always like to keep at least 1/4 to a 1/2 inch of water coming out of my pan when I work, so that way I know it's carrying the material out. So here we go, into the water we go. And take it down, and bring it down, and we stratify it minutely. We want to make sure it completely gets liquefied, so the heavies can start dropping to the bottom. Now sometimes I will take my fingers and go into the material and just work it sometimes if I'm in an area where I have a lot of clay. If you don't break up the clay balls, the clay will come to the top and it'll take the gold with it and go out to the pan. So as we find our hole, we liquefied our pan, so now we're going to do a circular motion back and forth. And I'm tipping my pan to the left side because that's the side my riffles are on. So the water comes in and the water goes out. And that's how I try to get stratified the pan to get what we call the blonde pans to the top and out of the pan so we can get down to the heavy. Now sometimes as you go down, you can see the pan is starting to lock up and still clay in the bottom of it. So sometimes you have to stop and just circulate your pan in a circle and get the rocks moving to break up the clay, or you can reach in the pan and help break it up. And here we go again. The water comes in and the water goes out. That's all it is, a little circular motion, in and out. Okay? As we get down to the bottom, you can see we're getting close to the bottom, into the bottom. Now, when I get to this point, I'm going to go to another move, and that is I'm going to turn my wrist back and forth sideways so the water goes back and forth sideways. 1, 2, 3 times, and then I bring the water in and the water out to the front. 1, 2, 3. And all the time, the water's coming in and the water's coming out, but I'm not pouring material up. The water's taking the material up. Now at this point, I can move my big rocks out because I don't need them anymore. I only usually let the rocks in the pan to help break up the clay. Once they're done, I throw them out. So now we're getting down to what we call the black sands. And that's where we get our heavy minerals. That's where we get our ites, pyrites, magnetite, hematite, iron. All these things are down at the bottom now. And that's where we also concentrate the gold. So we still got all these blonde sands here. We've got to get the blonde sands out, and we're going to get it all the way down to black sand. So here we go. Back in, water comes in, water comes out. Now, I've got a big buildup right here that has a lot of clay in it. So what I'm going to do is bring it in and bring the pan flat. And I'm going to swirl it to break up this clay layer right along that lip until I see green. Once I see that ding, then I can bring everything back to the front. And then I go back to my back and forth, 1, 2, 3, And then forward. Bring the water in and the water out. 1, 2, 3. Take it again. 1, 2, 3. The water comes in, the water comes out. 1, 2, 3. Now you've got to be very careful at this stage because you can really blow the water out and blow your material out. So you have to go slow and easy. Let the water come in, the water come out, and you don't have to use as much water. Just lightly with the water. See, so now I'm really down to my black sand, and this is where I'm getting close to. This is where I know that I'm getting to my heavy materials, and if I've done everything here right, everything is right here at the bottom. So one more time, we're going to get right down to nothing, and what do you know, look at that. Another good pan. Okay, when I get to this level, I shake everything down to the bottom edge of the rim. Now I'm ready to do my next step, and that's called feathering. You only want a little bit of water in your pan in the bottom when you feather, so you can bring the water up and snap it back. You want your pan about 80 degrees down so you can bring the black sand in and snap it back. And as you can see, you can start to see the gold popping out. You know that we got a good pan here. As we snap it back, slowly bring the water up, bring the water back. It takes a little practice at this point. So be careful you don't run too much water to slosh everything down. But there you go. Here we are. Use some iron pyrite. We know we've got our heavies here, but look at this. Look at the gold that we got in this pan. And there it is. That's California gold. And that's gold panning 101.